Do you think that you can influence the political discourse by showing artistic works?
I think that art can move mountains. Sorry for the geology fun right there. No, I think that cultural expressions and artworks are definitely important bits of our public discussion and our public debates. And not to say that this exhibition has produced that, but any kind of political cause, let's say, needs an image. By making an exhibition that is so explicitly interested in one of the largest income-giving industries that we have in a country, we're taking part in public debate and widening the scope of how we can discuss this industry and how it impacts us. I want to be in a public sphere that also is political, but not necessarily in a, let's say, in a party political way. Like, I don't want to necessarily take a side, although I do have one. Of course, I'm not an apolitical person, but I think I would like to take part in political life as an intellectual rather than as a politician, let's say. So by keeping options open and trying to bring people together to discuss and to share, and I think that's something that is very beautiful if you just look at the congregation of artworks that happens in the exhibition, is that they are not quiet and they are not unpolitical as artworks, but they are there and they all take enough space for their voice to be heard, and all these voices can be heard at the same time. I think all of them are political. I think art is political in and of itself. Absolutely, I think that art is important. And I think that art is, in this case, important because it gives a nuance to the debate that we see in our mediascape, which I'm absolutely not undermining either. But I think that it's time to broaden the scope a little bit about how we discuss the oil industry, because no one is surprised when we say that we have to stop drilling for oil at some point. I think that by making a one-sided argument for that huge transformation that needs to happen doesn't help the transformation. I think that we need to go forward in a nuanced way that gives space for discussion on the way. The aim is to try to create a different neighborhood than the one that we are normally positioned in, which very often is the kind of Northern European, very successful social democracy, where there is free healthcare, all education is free, like all of the beauty of, let's say, that type of narrative, which in the Norwegian context would be that we share with countries like Sweden and Denmark and Finland and Iceland, etc. But maybe what if we had a different neighborhood, I guess, is the methodology that we're kind of trying out. Like, what if we could create other kind of kinships and communities than those that we normally are prone to discuss ourselves in, because it is also a reflection of a success in that neighborhood that we so often is put in. So we're trying to challenge that idea of maybe identity that has been is perpetually enforced, let's say. We came up with this idea that we need to share the trauma. And that it was kind of the traumatic part of being an oil citizen was kind of what we were not talking about in the beginning. And then I think at some point we just understood that we have to be quite transparent about the difficulty that this project will pose to us. I mean, the problem that it's going to pose us as creators of the project itself, that we of course don't have any answers. We knew that all along, but that we could also be explicit about the fact that this is quite difficult to talk about. We're talking about the livelihoods for many people. We're talking about the financial stability of, or at least we imagine it's the financial stability of the whole nation that we live in, that this is quite traumatic as an individual to carry. And I think that this shared trauma is also maybe something that we share. The complexity of being an oil citizen and not maybe wanting to be one at the same time is something that creates some conflict internally.
If you had a magic wand, what would you like to do with the oil tomorrow?
I will honestly tell you that question is such a big question that I don't even know where to start. if you may allow me not to answer. But that is, again, a very good question, which I think is why you're on your end of this conversation and I'm on my end.